Hey, hey, hey. Happy Tuesday. Come on in, pull up a chair. The Gaming Gang Dispatch is in the air. Howdy, gang, and welcome once again to Jeff's Squirrel Sanctuary. I'm Jeff McAleer, your host here at the Gaming Gang Dispatch, brought to you by, shockingly enough, thegaminggang.com, of which I happen to be the founder and editor-in-chief. So welcome aboard, everyone. Tonight is Tuesday, February 10th, 2026. This is live show 1285, 86. I think it's 86. No, it's damn, now I don't know. Can't think of it off the top of my head. I think it's 1285. Could be wrong. Hey, there's been so many of them, right? Yes. So as you can tell, if you're not familiar with the show, it's super casual around here. Certainly not engaged in rocket surgery or anything along those lines. No, not with this guy as your host. No, not at all. Just hanging out, having fun. So I do have an announcement about the future of the Gaming Gang Dispatch. I am going to talk about that when we get to our intermission. I'm going to chat a little bit about that. There's a couple of things I want to bring up. But before we get into the festivities, because tonight is going to be our Paizo preview for February 2026. We're going to take a look at the Paizo Inc. releases for both Pathfinder and Starfinder, minus the flip mat. I don't think they're sending the flip mats anymore to reviewers, which is okay. Got to be honest, we've looked at a lot of flip mats over the years, so I have a huge box full of them. But we are going to be taking a look at some of the books that are coming out. We've got a token box. We got a pawn box. We're going to dive into all of that. So if you were here right at the beginning and I welcomed you to Jeff's Squirrel Sanctuary, it's because we had a squirrel down here in the Duct Tape Studios starting probably Thursday night. Probably got in here Thursday night and was here all weekend long. And finally got it last night. Had a trap for days. Had to keep playing around with different. It outsmarted the trap once. I was like, So it was a humane trap. I wasn't going to harm a little squirrel. In fact, at one point, I was concerned. Well, my dad was concerned too, that it probably hadn't eaten. And we had a big glob of peanut butter inside the trap. So I actually brought it down cat food and some water. So to make sure it was not starving. And then I took that away and just left the peanut butter in the trap. Finally got the little sucker, little bugger last night. And it was not happy. God, no. It was like, I was like, okay, let me just throw this towel on top of the trap, carry outside. Anyway, so that was pretty wild. I actually saw it down here. Just I wasn't going to come down and record stuff because I didn't want it to just suddenly jump out at me. I don't know if it was rabid. Yeah, who knows? Anyway, but thankfully, it is gone, and we thought maybe there were two, but it looks like it was just the one. So, very happy. So we are back to being the Duct Tape Studios, no longer Jeff's Squirrel Sanctuary. How about that? Hey, when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to visit thegaminggang.com for all the latest in tabletop gaming news, reviews, and a whole lot more you are not going to find here on YouTube. Come on, you know the drill. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. Also, because this is a live stream, there is chat available. Now, you must be a subscriber for at least an hour before you can take part in chat. But if you check that box and you want to say howdy, maybe you got a question, a comment, by all means, chime in. I will do my very best to respond. See what we got cooking. Who's first out the gate tonight? It is our good friend of the show, the Madman. Semper Buffo's also with us, as is Kathy Evans, J-Man, Matthew Blackwell, Pete Strakulich. Mike is with us, as is Cthulhu. And the lovely and talented Miss Sarah D is chiming in already. She is one of our chat moderators alongside the Madman. But Sarah D happens to lurk in the shadows, waiting, watching, preparing that glittery banhammer to strike if needed. So there is that. I see Walona's Cave is also joining us tonight. All right. So, who said they're stuck at work? But I saw somebody said they're stuck at work right now. Oh, there you go. Talking about mandatory overtime. Yeah. Mandatory overtime, yeah. Sadly, I was a salaried employee many times, which, I would get bonuses, so I guess that kind of made up for it. But no, there was no OT for poor salaried folk like me. Mike says Jeff played Mouse Ritter for real, or I should say Mouse Rita for real. Matthew Blackwell says squirrels don't often get rabies. Often than not, they get bit. They get ate. Not saying it's unheard of. It's just pretty rare. Now, I got to be super upfront. I'm not a fan of squirrels. They're fine, but people give squirrels more credit for being friendly and kind than they actually are. Squirrels go and they kill and eat baby birds. They break bird eggs and eat them. They're kind of like just a little bit above a rat, to be honest. So, not that I would ever hurt one. I told this story about the time I lived in an apartment where it was a garden apartment, and suddenly being terrorized by rats. Yes. And I got rid of them, and well, sadly, I ended up having to kill one of them, but the rest were like humanely disposed of. Alrighty. Cthulhu says Sarah D's lurking just like the squirrel. Cthulhu says squirrels are a-holes. Matthew Blackwell says they grew up hunting squirrels. Yeah, there are quite a few people who do that. In fact, one of my sister-in-law's relatives, oh no, I take that back. One of our friends, her daughter is married down in like Alabama, and they go squirrel hunting because it's good eating. Keith Lewis says I was in the rats in the walls for real. Funny enough, I'm actually replaying Darkest Dungeon, and you can name the estate. And the estate, that's if you ever played Darkest Dungeon, it is a blast. It is not an easy game. And it throws everything plus the kitchen sink at you. But it is the Delapour estate from The Rats in the Walls. How about that? All right, so tonight it is the Paizo preview. So we're going to dive right on in. We're going to get started. And 1 second. There we go. Whoops. Hey, that's not what we're supposed to be looking at. Anyway, that's fine. I got down here late tonight because there was other stuff that needed to be done down here in the Duct Tape Studios tonight. So, Keith Lewis says, be careful what you name the cat. Yes, I know all about it. Know all about it. Kevin King is with us, as is Danny Gable. Good to see you both. All right, so we're going to start off. We are going to take a look at the Pathfinder Battlecry Pawn Box. Get the shrink wrap off. Now, this is available. It is in stores. Carries an MSRP of $64.99. Now, if you want to get the PDF is $9.99. That is a pretty nice price for the PDF for these pawns. So it looks like we've got some large, medium, and small. Well, maybe it's just large and small. Yeah, I think it is. I think it's just large and small. I don't see any medium. So I'll take a guess. We've probably got about 25 stands there. Well, let's take a look at the back. Let's read the back, see what it says. The vast variety of individual soldiers and troops from Pathfinder Battlecry come alive on your tabletop with this collection of more than 240 creature pawns for use with the Pathfinder role-playing game or any tabletop fantasy RPG. Printed on sturdy cardstock, each double-sided pawn contains a beautiful full-color image of a creature or character from Pathfinder Battlecry. While there are several pawns to represent iconic commanders and guardians, this collection primarily contains a plethora of pawns to represent the book's units, all placed on large pawns to show off their multi-character illustrations. Each pawn slots into a size-appropriate plastic base, making them easy to mix with traditional metal or plastic miniatures. The Pathfinder Battlecry Pawn Box is the best way to ensure you've got the perfect opponent on hand for every Pathfinder role-playing game encounter. All right. So let's see what we have got. Looks like we got quite a few punch boards here. I'm going to start off. Give you a quick peek. One of the things that always kind of bugs me about the Pathfinder pawns, and this is like from the beginning of time, they cut off the artwork. The artwork gets cut off. So here we've got the pirate commander. His hand and entire sword is cut off from that pawn. I don't dig that. But for the most part, the pawns are pretty cool. All right, so those are some medium size. Now it looks like these are going to be the large, such as the Air Cycle. We have the Jotunborn Warrior, Wolf Fang. And as you can see, they are dual-sided, same image on both sides, though. Matthew Blackwell says they use these for their games. So we've got an animated army. We had the Angelic Chorus, one of them on that other punch board. The Apprentice Magician Click. Arboreal Corpse. Archer Regiment. Archon Bastion. Bogard Dreadnought. Bogard Scouting Party. Clockwork Infantry. Clockwork Runner Pack. A Drake Flight. A Dromar Company. As you can see, we've got all of these still to go. A Druid Circle, Dwarf Longshot Squad, Fleshwarp, Amalgam, Giant Ant Army. Come on, where's some giant spiders? So I can send them to Elliot. We've got a Goblin Rabble, a Halfling Lucky Draw, Hellhound Pack, the Lich Legion, Holy cow. That's pretty wild. Kobold Trap Squad. See, one of the things that when I mention about how the artwork gets cut off that I don't understand is that these are not necessarily scaled correctly, you know? So like here, we got the kobolds. The kobolds are fairly large on this pawn. And of course, it's supposed to be a group of kobolds. You could scale that artwork down a little bit and fit it all onto that. But that's just me. We got a monk cadre, an orc raiding party, Protean Tumult, Red Cap Brigade. Well, these really are a lot of units. Sin Swarm, Skeleton Mob, Viking Guard, a White Battalion. We got the Wolf Pack and the Zuki Horde. I don't know exactly how to pronounce that. So as you can see, a bunch of these, and I'm going to give you an idea. That's the thickness. So thickness is really solid here. All right, let's put these back on in. Then we're going to take a peek at the Starfinder Alien Core tokens. So we have a pawn box. Seeing which side was what here. So we do have a pawn box, and then we have the token box for Starfinder. And I thought that was kind of interesting. So it looks as if the direction for Starfinder is going to be to use tokens and not pawns. So, well, you know what? Let's take a look at the back too. The many alien foes, robot adversaries, and other creatures of Starfinder Alien Core make a stunning appearance on your tabletop with this collection of more than 350 creature tokens for use with the Starfinder role-playing game or any tabletop science fantasy RPG. Printed on sturdy cardstock, each double-sided token contains a beautiful full-color image of a creature from Starfinder Alien Core. Each token fits neatly on a 1-inch grid, making them easy to mix with traditional metal or plastic miniatures. The Starfinder Alien Core token box is the best way to have every possible creature on hand for any Starfinder role-playing game encounter you can imagine. Danny Gable says, reminds them of folklore with all the standees. Wow, a reference to folklore. How about that? Folklore, the Affliction, I would believe. Of course, my copies had the minis. So I had all of the miniatures for that. And yes, Greenbrier Games is no more. How's about that? All right, so here we've got the tokens. And of course, once again, we have got a bunch of punch boards here. So you know what? I actually kind of digging these. Although once again, the artwork is cut off. That I've got to be honest, that kind of irritates me. It's like the horns here cut off. Let's see what else. This is a bunch of their headgear is gone. I don't know. Although, you know, it's kind of nice that we actually get on the back, we got the numbers and it tells us what it is. That's kind of cool. I do like that because they're tokens. You don't really need to have them, you know, with the same image on both sides. All right, so we got that one. See what? Oh, we got some big ones too. Some big ones. There we go. I like the artwork, I have to say. See, I can't. I am not extremely well versed with the aliens in Starfinder. So I can't say, oh, hey, that's a blah, blah, blah. So, well, it looks like that's a drake or a baby dragon. Yeah, looks like for Starfinder, we're going to go tokens. I'm curious to see if they're going to do that with Pathfinder. I would say that I think Pathfinder's kind of, at least with this edition, locked into pawns because they have released pawns for so many years. I don't know. Yeah, like, so here, this is kind of like a fox creature. Most of its tail is cut off. This tail is mainly cut off. That's a little disappointing. See, now, like, little bits like that getting cut off, that's no big deal. And you do notice they've got like a little bit of a color here. I think that's coordinating the type of creature that it is, type of alien that it is. Yeah, to be honest, I want to say these punch boards feel just a hair thicker than the pawns do. Well, for one, you're kind of locked into a thickness on the pawns because they have to fit into the stands. All right, so there we go. So quite a lot of the tokens here. As I started putting it into the box top. All right. So this is the Alien Core token box with an MSRP of $59.99. Just like the Battlecry Pawn Box, if you get the PDF, it is $9.99. W. Forge and Spelling Mistake have joined us tonight. Danny Gable said they had horrible minis. Just hit shrink to fit. Yeah, you know what? If you're getting the PDFs, you certainly could do that. You could rescale because you're not getting, well, no, I haven't seen the PDFs, to be honest. I'll have to take a peek because I'm pretty sure I do also have the PDF for the pawns and the tokens here. I'll have to take a peek to see if they have like the where you would cut it, right? So where the die cut is. I wonder if that's on the actual token and pawn. I wouldn't be surprised if it is, which would not necessarily help. So also arriving this month was the pocket edition of the Alien Core for Starfinder. We've already taken a peek through the Alien Core. In fact, we have our review. Sammy reviewed the Alien Core. It is up on thegaminggang.com. So I'm just going to kind of quickly flip through this for you so you can get a nice look at it. I will say, Paizo Inc. always does really nice bestiaries. So there is quite a lot. In fact, you know what? Let's start with the back. Why not? Creatures from space. From space. Alien Core contains over 200 creatures. Starfinder classics such as robots, glass serpents, and new varieties of the ravenous swarm. Strange alien animals from laser wolves to dinosaur-like Rankodras, and powerful galactic threats like alien dragons. This book introduces brand new creature adjustment options to make your creatures fit your adventure. From radioactive trolls to robotic demons, the options are practically limitless. The creatures in this book are suitable for all levels of play, making Alien Core the perfect tool for game masters planning a campaign or players looking for allies to summon. Whether you're playing the Starfinder role-playing game or expanding your Pathfinder campaign, with all new science fantasy creatures. See, that's the big deal with the second edition of Pathfinder. It is now, I would say, about 99% compatible with Pathfinder second edition remastered. So yes, you can kind of use Pathfinder monsters in Starfinder, vice versa. You can have characters transfer over back and forth. So pretty sweet. All right. And I will mention I'm giving away this copy of the Alien Core to a lucky viewer. I will give you the lowdown on the contest. Super easy in just a minute. But just taking a peek through, I got to say, the font size isn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. I haven't had an opportunity to actually take a look at any of the pocket editions as far as Pathfinder or Starfinder. I will tell you that the pocket editions are quite a lot less expensive. Well, I guess I don't even want, I was going to say cheaper, but I didn't want to be like cheap. The prices are lower than the hardcover editions. So as an example, this is $29.99. The PDF is $19.99. If I remember correctly, I think the hardcover is either $59.99 or $64.99. So very nicely done. I like the art. The art is pretty cool. But of course, if you want to learn more about this, hey, there's that. Hey, look, it's a squirrel creature. Thought it was a fox. Hey, that kind of goes along with tonight's theme, eh? Tessie Trekkie's popping on in to join us. Welcome back. All right, so just real quick page through here. Like I said, we've taken a much closer look with the hardcover edition that came out. All right, so as I mentioned, I already have the hardcover, so I'm giving away this pocket edition. Gonna make it pretty easy. Got a couple of days to get into the running. So on Thursday night's show on the 12th, I will announce the winner of the Alien Core, and I will ship this anywhere I can legally ship from the United States. So if you happen to be watching this in like Iran, I think you're kind of out of luck, right? I doubt anybody in Iran is watching this, but still, if you're in Russia, I don't, probably not gonna, yeah. But to get into the running, number one, you got to be a subscriber to the channel. Simple enough, easy peasy. Number two, do me a favor, give the video a thumbs up. I mean, you don't have to. I can't tell if you do, but it is appreciated. And then number three, tell me, what is it about Starfinder second edition that appeals to you? That's it. Pretty easy. And I will randomly select one lucky viewer, and I will announce the winner on Thursday's show. All righty then. All right, so we're going to take a quick moment here. We're going to get into the two Pathfinder books that are released this month in just a little bit. But I did want to point out I have an announcement regarding the future of the Gaming Gang Dispatch. If you follow me on social media, I already mentioned this. I mentioned what's happening. So, beginning a week from today, I am going to go back to simply covering news on the Dispatch. We're no longer going to be taking first looks at games and stuff like that. It is just going to be a news show, and then we'll probably just chew the fat every night Well, not every night, but 3 nights a week. So there are a few reasons why. And if you've been following the Gaming Gang, if you watch the live stream regularly, it's, YouTube doesn't know what to make of this channel. And I've been doing videos for, 13, 14 years now. And YouTube still doesn't know exactly what this channel does. So as I pointed out, with the live streams, it's the monetization is all screwy, and it's just a pain in the ass. It really is. And there are a lot of people who are interested in the stuff that we're taking a look at on each show. And then they see, oh, the show, it's an hour and 40-minute video. Even though I have timestamps, I can't tell you how many people just can't figure that concept out. Can't tell you how many people will sit there and comment, oh, the first look starts at blah, 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 right? 45 minutes, 28 seconds, right? I already have that in the show notes. It also shows up in the timeline of the video on most devices. Any sort of device that you can skip should have those like timestamps, right? I don't think if you watch the show on TV, they're watching on a TV through like a Roku box or something like that, I don't think you get timestamps. That's about it. I figure we're just going to do news. Show's going to be about an hour in length. So, outside of me not taking first looks at stuff, it's not going to really change. I mean, I like doing the live streams. I really do. But there's also work involved in them with very little return on the investment of time and energy. Like, as an example, normally we'll top out about 500 views on average. Live shows, depending on what we took a peek at. If we took a peek at something relatively obscure, like we will tomorrow night, we'll get like 350 views. If we take a peek at something like the latest Pendragon release, the Savage King, that probably gets us 900 to 1,000 views. That's still nowhere near what they should be as standalone videos. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go back to having the first looks and the reviews. The reviews are always separate videos regardless, because trying to do a review live is just an absolute pain in the ass. Really is. It's not fun. And then, of course, with chat and I don't mean anything against chat. It's just following chat and stuff like that, trying to stay engaged with people who are watching live, hanging out in chat. It's like, oh, shit, I totally forgot to mention XYZ. So just pointing that out. Like I said, I think the vast majority of people who watch the live streams, they're just watching to hang out. I think most people are kind of just hanging out because they want to see the latest tabletop gaming news. Every once in a while, there's probably something that's, up their alley that they want to check out, but there you go. So Rising Star, Pathfinder 2nd Edition says this channel's been invaluable to look at 2nd edition products, even if most of us don't say so in the chat. Oh, that's okay. I don't expect people to. I mean, I understand there are a lot of people who watch this live who don't jump into chat. Maybe they don't even have an opportunity to jump into chat because of the device they're watching this on. But thank you very much. I appreciate that. You know who you should tell that to? Paizo Inc. Because I've talked about this before. I'm not going to make a big deal about it, but I've mentioned this before. Paizo Inc. just never shares any of the coverage that I provide Pathfinder and Starfinder on social media. They'll give it a like, but they will not repost. There's like one person, one outlet that I ever see get reposted. So, but yes, thank you for pointing out that, you know, the Paizo previews and stuff like that give you a look at the products. We get to take a peek at what's inside, get a better feel, see if it's something that's going to be worth your while. And then, of course, with the vast majority of Pathfinder and Starfinder releases, those reviews are by Sammy and they are written reviews. So, Rising Star says, yeah, good luck. Paizo only works with a few YouTubers. The website change was a whole mess, etc. Yes, I know all about that. You got to also remember, I have been covering Paizo for years now, and it's always been like this. I take that back. It was not always like this. When Aaron Shanks was our PR person, he always shared stuff that we would, you know, do videos of all the time. After he left, went up in smoke. So, but no, I don't take it personally. I don't take it personally at all. To me, I find it to be a lost opportunity for Paizo Inc. That's what it really is a lost opportunity, because it's not like they're sharing videos, right? Not that I'm aware of. I'm not aware of Paizo sharing, you know, videos that take a look into stuff. So Rising Star says, you've covered Paizo longer than I have, bud. I have been covering tabletop games for a lot longer than most outlets out there. But we like to joke around that thegaminggang.com is the most popular gaming website nobody knows about. We get millions of unique visitors every year. But it's like, okay. All righty. So anyway, that's the announcement. It's not a huge deal. You know, some of you might have been wondering, oh, is Jeff going to say he's not going to do live streams anymore? No, I'm still going to do the live streams. It's just, like I said, there's not enough return on the investment in time and energy when we're doing first looks. Because if I do a separate 15-minute video as a first look, it'll get far, far more views than if I do live stream. So that's all. That's it. No big deal. All right. Anyway, I should mention, even though we're not going to talk about Drive-Thru RPG tonight, that we are an affiliate of the One Bookshelf sites. So if you happen to be going to Drive-Thru RPG, there are some Paizo releases on there. Maybe you're going to Dungeon Masters Guild or Storyteller's Vault, Wargame Vault, any of the various One Bookshelf sites. Please stop by thegaminggang.com first. Click on one of our banners. That way, if you happen to make a purchase, I get a small portion of that sale and is vastly appreciated. Of course, if you like the video, be sure to give it a quick thumbs up. If you like the video, if you dig the channel, if you find the Gaming Gang to be a valuable resource, hell, if you just like what we do, there are a couple of other ways that you can help support the outlet. Number one, by making a one-time donation over at PayPal. Hell, you can buy me a 2-liter bottle of soda. Squirrel free, I think. Or you can become a monthly member of our Patreon. And on the live streams, I always like to say thank you to our Patreon members. So, tip of the cap to Adrian Carpio, Cavallo, Kevin R. Smith, Talzek, Sean O'Donnell, Herman Lutman, Gustavo Cavalho, Matt Weiss, Kevin King, Game Cat, RPG Munch, Tier 2 DM, Pete Strakulich, Dan Webb, Tessie Trekkie, Agile Monk, and the Madman. Thank you very, very kindly. All right, we are going to dive on in and start taking a peek at the Pathfinder book releases for February. But first, I think it's time for a brief intermission.
It's intermission time, folks. Time out for a delicious snack in our sparkling refreshment building. Every item a fresh, appetizing taste treat.
Dog days, hot dog days that is, somehow have a way of turning out to be fun days. The pop and sizzle of the juicy meat seems to say, "Come and get me, I'm done to a turn." Yep, hungry or not, it's hard to resist the tantalizing aroma and taste appeal of a sizzling hot dog. The nice part of it is, there's one waiting for you right now at the refreshment stand.
Snow, rain, mud. Your car's bound to get dirty.
So give your car a car wash, make it look like new. Watch it in the car wash that lets you see right through. Mr. Kelly's Car Wash, that's the one for me.
Hey, Mr. Kelly!
Wax it beautifully.
Drive up the ramp, hook the chain, it runs by battery.
Clean, scrubs, and dries your car automatically.
Mr. Kelly's Automatic Car Wash. What a toy! From a hidden tank, fill overhead water tower, hook on car, throw switch, and automatically cars are wet down, scrubbed all over, and dried while you watch. Mr. Kelly's Car Wash comes with 2 late model cars, car wax, towels, sponges, and even a sign.
Hey, Mr. Kelly, clean my car like new. Mr. Kelly's Car Wash lets you wax them too.
Every boy wants a Remco toy, and so do girls.
Mr. Kelly's Car Wash, that's the one for me.
Boy, this Wilkins coffee's good.
Good for what?
Oh, good for smart Alecks, wise guys, and nice people, too.
I am Sir George, possessor of the magic sword. By its powers, I will lead you on the 7 great adventures, each one mightier than the other. Together we will go where no man has ever gone, into the land of terror itself, where the Superman of evil is king.
Let no man face my 7 curses and reach the dragon's lair.
Together we will dare the demons of the green flame. See the white-hot face of the fiery rock. Enter the mammoth cave that closes behind you, where humans are trapped, entombed. Brave the volcanic inferno of the boiling crater. See the miracle of the magic sword. Battle the gigantic ogre. Gaze into the magic pool. See the enchanted beauty, enslaved by the master of the black arts. Meet Sybil, the weirdest witch who ever brewed up a cauldron of spells.
I wonder what Sybil's cooking up.
Witches of headaches, blacker than black, demons of shame, flesh off the rack.
See the attempted rescue from the sorcerer's castle. See the terrors of the dungeon torture chamber. See the terrifying fate of the shrunken people, cast under an evil spell by Lodak, greatest magician of them all. See the 2-headed dragon of Lodak that no mortal ever faced and lived. You'll be thrilled to the hilt by the magic sword, none like it since the world began. The 2,000-year-old legend Hollywood waited until now to tell. The magic sword.
I can't believe how much fun I had playing with that car wash toy. Every time I share that ad, I'm like, some of this stuff, like in the late 50s through like the early 70s, that they would make toys out of. It was like, I remember, wasn't it? I think it was a Fisher Price. It was a Fisher Price McDonald's. Like, yeah, all right. Would you like fries with that? And no, that was not Agnes Moorehead. Although I believe you're on the right track, because I believe that actress did play one of Samantha's relatives, one of the a witch, but I don't remember who, and I can't remember her name off the top of my head. That actress there. So we have Zarquan with us. I got to ask, is that a takeoff of Daquan? Oh, the Daquan or Zaquan? It's God, I can't remember the name of that. It's a god awful movie, and there's she's a very attractive woman. She was probably a model from Europe who's in this movie, and when she talks, she sounds like she has marbles in her mouth, and she keeps saying the dark one, but it always comes out different. Dawan, Duckwan, Duckwan. It's like, what? So I was wondering if Zarquan is a takeoff of that. Keith Lewis says, for some, those toys were career preparation. Yes, sadly. So Keith Lewis says, the great prophet Zarquan. Is that what it is in that movie? So Zarquan says, there was a character in Hitchhiker's Guide that was spelled differently. Gotcha. All right, so let's jump back into the Paizo preview for February 2026. We're going to take a look at the Dark Archive Remastered for Pathfinder 2nd Edition. This is the sketch cover. So there you go. Keith Lewis says, the great prophet Zarquan is from Hitchhiker's Guide. God, you know how long it's been since I will say it was about a year or so ago that I listened to the audiobook for the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, but I didn't go further than that. I read all the books back in the day when they came out, but I haven't, like So Long and Thanks for All the Fish or anything like that. I just, for some reason, I moved on to like a different book. I didn't just continue with the series again. I mean, I've read Hitchhikers umpteen times, and I have seen the BBC TV adaptation. I've seen the movie. I've listened to the radio show, all that stuff. So there we have it. All right. Funny enough, Dark Archive is I want to say this was, no, I would be incorrect. It was the occult book. It was actually the first Pathfinder book that Paizo Inc. gave me as a review copy. And it was kind of like, you do realize I don't have any other Pathfinder stuff. I was like, not really sure what I'm supposed to do with this. But we have covered the original Dark Archive. So now this is for the 2nd edition. Enter the paranormal. From the fringes, the unknown beckons, and 8 lost files of the Dark Archive arm you to explore, understand, and confront it. Unleash the untold power of your mind as a new psychic class, or leverage supernatural secrets and mystic implements as the Thaumaturge. Thaumaturge? I never really am sure how that's pronounced. Thaumaturge, I've heard it pronounced that way too. As like divine magic wielded by secret cults, eldritch pacts with powerful entities and archetypes to skip through time. If you're a GM, you'll find options to turn your creatures into rumored cryptids, new rules for unexplained powers and mental battles, and more. Never engage in a battle of wits with an unarmed man. Each file concludes with a short adventure to immerse players in the unknown, spanning every corner of the Age of Lost Omens campaign setting. All right. So let's take a peek. First thing we're going to do is glance at the credits portion. A lot of folks work very hard to bring this to life. So we are going to start off with the training manual, which is going to give us a breakdown of the 2 new classes. Then we've got the stolen case files. So we have cryptids, secret societies, deviant abilities, mirrors and imposters, cults, and curses and pacts. And if I remember correctly, there are short little adventures in each of these case files. So, a few things I want to mention as we're taking a peek at Dark Archive. Keep in mind, fine folks over at Paizo Inc. have been kind enough to provide me with all of these review items, but neither I nor anyone else affiliated with the gaming gang has received any other sort of compensation for me to share these first looks with you. And it's important you know that. We are also not going to look at each and every page of the books. As you've noticed, we didn't take a look at each and every page of the Alien Core Pocket Edition for Starfinder, and we aren't going to do that with Dark Archive and the book we're going to look at after this. But I do want to give you a really good idea with what you're going to find inside. And of course, the next book we're going to take a peek at is an adventure campaign, so there are going to be spoilers because it is a collected campaign. I reviewed the 4 chapters of Season of Ghosts, so I might refer to a little bit what I shared in the review, if I remember it. Jeff Woodyard is with us saying hello from South Korea. Welcome aboard. All right, so we got the psychic. The mind can perceive truths hidden into fine-tuned instruments, house more secrets than any tome, and move objects and hearts more deftly than any lever. By delving into both the conscious and subconscious aspects of your inner self, you have awoken to the might of psychic magic, allowing you to cast spells not through incantations or gestures, but by the power of your will alone. Well, the thin line between your mind and reality means that a single errant thought could have unintended consequences for yourself and your companions. You know that anything is possible if you can imagine it. I always get a kick out of how, with the 2nd edition of Pathfinder, with the classes, it's always, so this is what this class does, right? So what do they do during combat, during social encounters, while exploring? It's like to kind of give you an idea, is this the sort of character class you're going to enjoy playing? I dig that. I like the little extra mile that they've gone. All right, so just taking a peek at some of the feats and cantrips. Psychic feats. So we have things like Ancestral Mind, Warp Space, Thought Form Summoning. You can create a prototypical creature from the depths of your imagination instead of calling one from elsewhere. Whenever you summon a creature, you can choose to instead create a psychic construct of that creature. This grants it resistance to physical damage equal to half its level, weakness 5 to force and mental damage, and the ability to pass through enemy spaces without needing to tumble. I'll tumble for you. I'm sorry, tumble through. Though it can't end its turn in an occupied space. Cranial detonation. A little scanners action here. As your overwhelming psyche fells a creature, you use its flickering consciousness to detonate psychic energy from the creature's head. I guess it is kind of a scanners thing. Each enemy you reduce to 0 hit points dies and its head explodes. Each exploding head generates a shockwave and a 15-foot emanation around that enemy. Each creature in any of the emanations takes 10d6 bludgeoning damage with a basic reflex save. Okay, so this is a level 18 feat. So, all right, here is the Thaumaturge. The world is full of the unexplainable, ancient magic, dead gods, and even stranger things. In response, you've scavenged the best parts of every magical tradition and built up a collection of esoterica. A broken holy relic here, a sprig of mistletoe there, that you can use to best any creature by exploiting their weaknesses and vulnerabilities. The mystic implement you carry is both badge and weapon, its symbolic weight helping you bargain with and subdue the supernatural. Every path to power has its restrictions and costs, but you turn them all to your advantage. You're a Thaumaturge, and you work wonders. Troy Cornelson is joining us tonight. Keith Lewis says David Cronenberg would be proud of that feat. So you have different implements. Looks like we've got a few here. The amulet, the bell, the chalice. Then we start getting into feats. Like having a familiar, whether by following occult rituals, piecing together scraps of arcane theory, or some other method, you've called forth a creature that now serves as your constant companion in your studies of the supernatural. You gain a familiar. So as you can see, a lot of feats for the classes in Pathfinder. I like Pathfinder. I mean, yes, granted, there's complexities to it. I won't go as far as some people claim and call it Math Finder, because the amount of mathematics involved isn't that much different than D&D. But then again, you know, the whole Math Finder kind of flows where you don't have math and dragons, right? Or dungeons and math. So here we have our stolen case files. I'll tell you, talking about Pathfinder and to some extent Starfinder, although I don't think that Starfinder has the same kind of implementation for Foundry Virtual Tabletop as Pathfinder currently does. If you're going to run a fantasy role-playing game through Foundry, you probably want to take a look at Pathfinder, because so much of that heavy lifting as far as complexities are all handled by Foundry. All right, so this is Eyes in the Forest, Tracks in the Mud. It's about cryptids and other strange creatures. And we're going to get some experimental cryptids, giving us information on adjusting creatures to make them cryptids. We have cryptid class feats, such as eerie traces, bizarre transformation. And then, as I mentioned, you get kind of a short little adventure for each of these case files. So it's the Beast of Birchfrost. So what do we got? 8 pages? 6 pages? 6. A web of connections, secret societies, underground organizations, those who whisper. Rising Star says they've heavily updated Starfinder and Foundry. It's its own system, and all the Pathfinder 2nd Edition modules now basically have support for Starfinder 2nd Edition. Nice. Very cool. Used to be pretty nice where you would actually, if you had bought the PDF to like a Pathfinder adventure, this is a while back. There was a module that you would plug in that would actually pull from that file to port a lot of it over into, I want to say it was Foundry. I don't think it was Fantasy Grounds that did that. But they moved away from that because now you have to actually buy the physical adventure. I shouldn't say physical, but you have to buy the adventure for the virtual tabletop. We have deviant abilities. So creating them. We also have some various different feats. Deviant spells, such as Falling Sky, Kinetic Ram, Warp Step is a cantrip. And this is our adventure. Yep. A song of making and unmaking. As a meteorite that contained the Starstone fell upon Galarian, pieces of the meteorite rained down across the lands. Countless pieces fell on Arcadia, and while many pieces housed sky metals, others held even greater treasures. Some of these fragments held a power not unlike the Starstone, having become magically irradiated by the Starstone's power. Those magical fragments led to the rise of powerful, nigh deific individuals, particularly among Central Arcadia. The hero gods of Zopatl helped shape the land and lead the young nation to a time of prosperity, using their powerful abilities to defend the region from threats of all kinds. So it looks like it's a castle player characters are going to be checking out. Rising Star says, yeah, they're separate products. You have to buy the Foundry code. A lot of community-made Pathfinder Infinite stuff still does the Foundry code in the PDF. Well, that's cool. Doors into the Echoing Pale on the nature of reflections, mirrors, and what lies beyond. So I guess you can have a heritage where you're of reflection. Interesting. Hazards of perception, such as the mirror door, the entrapping chair, the distortion mirror. And then we have an archetype, which is an alter ego. A highly guarded castle in the middle of an extravagant ball, the headquarters of a city's infamous thieves guild, the locked room in the back of a cultist hideout, all perfect targets for you to use your expertise at blending in. Rather than skulking through the shadows, you use your training and latent supernatural abilities to become a mirror, playing on the perceptions of others and taking on whatever role necessary to get in and out of your destination before anyone has a chance to think something is amiss. And we also have our archetype feats. So we get the adventures, and it looks like we also get a couple of incidents in here as well, which include, it look like magical items. Prayers uttered in darkness, cults, fringe religions, apocryphal beliefs, and underground faith. So we have a new archetype, the living vessel. We have cult rituals. And then here's our little adventure. So one thing I will point out that I thought was kind of cool when I first took a peek at this, I want to say Sammy has reviewed the original edition of Dark Archive. I like the fact that we got some adventures with it. Sometimes these essentially really player-facing books, because they are kind of player facing with the new classes, new archetypes, new heritages, new feats, all that stuff is really player facing. And then oddly enough, we get the adventures in here. So it's like, But I did like the fact that we got adventures. So that's pretty nice. We have temporal spells. So we have the Time Mage as an archetype. What could have been as far as a feat, rather than conjuring creatures from elsewhere in the world or the planes, you can temporarily pull a much different version of yourself from an alternate timeline. For instance, instead of summoning a generic or random troll with Summon Giant, you summon a troll version of yourself from a timeline where you're a troll. Kinda cool. Kinda cool. All right, so Remy Iscariot has joined us. I believe this might be a first-time visit in chat. Welcome aboard. Lands of Thought and Imagination, Mindscapes, Mental Realms, and the World of Dreams. So we have Psychic Duels introduced. The archetype is the Mindsmith. And we have a new heritage, too. I know, another archetype, Psychic Duelist. The mental landscape of the psychic duel rises to meet your steps and reshapes at your touch. Shattered minds and broken wills from your previous duels exhibit your prowess. You understand that the binary mindscape of a duel links two minds, making its foundation only as strong as the wills of those involved. Two psychic castles in a siege. Patch every loose brick in your walls and single out every flaw in your foe's defenses. All right, then we've got the Last Dream. And we get into spell and item lists, glossary and index. And that is a peek at Dark Archive for Pathfinder 2nd Edition Remaster. Once again, this is available now. It carries an MSRP of $64.99. This is the sketch variant. It does have a little different price. I think it's, if I remember right, I think it's $10 more. If you want to grab just the PDF, you can do so for $19.99. Then we're going to wrap up by taking a peek at Pathfinder Season of Ghosts. Now, this is the collected campaign, which was in 4 parts that had come out. Now, this is the remastered edition. So, as many of you already know, Pathfinder and Starfinder no longer receive monthly adventure path chapters. So you are going to see probably every quarter or so a full-fledged adventure campaign. I have reviewed Season of Ghosts. I reviewed each of the chapters. I liked it quite a lot. I really did. If you're curious about it, you can always go back and check out those videos. They are from ways back, though. So I want to say the sound quality and video quality are a little bit different. Something sinister stirs. The first day of summer in the small town of Willowshore is known as the Season of Ghosts, a time when restless spirits and eerie hauntings increase. But this year, things are different. Things are worse. So much worse. Can your group, in the role of Willowshore's newest heroes, unravel the nature of the supernatural curse, the monstrous invasion that has descended on your hometown before time runs out? This hardcover compilation includes all 4 adventures of the Season of Ghosts adventure path, a horror-themed campaign set in the heartland of Tianjia for 1st to 12th level characters. This, once again, is available now. It carries an MSRP of $74.99. I know some people are like, oh my God, are you kidding? $75. Well, if you think about it, the individual chapters for the Starfinder and Pathfinder adventure paths at the end were $29.99. So you are effectively looking at, if you had, I think they were $24.99 when the 4 episodes of Season of Ghosts came out. So you'd still have been paying $100 for the adventure campaign, which is now contained in a single volume. So how about that? We'll take a peek at the credits page once again. A lot of folks worked hard on this. So this is in a campaign in 4 acts. We have The Summer That Never Was, Let the Leaves Fall, No Breath to Cry, and To Bloom Below the Web. And then we'll get some Adventure Toolbox stuff. And I believe that this has been expanded a little bit. I'm not positive what has changed yet. But like I said, I enjoyed the original. So once again, this is a horror-themed campaign. It is also an Asian-themed campaign. So many of the creatures, many of the monsters, many of the spirits all come from various different legends of Japan and China, I think Korea as well. So I thought that was very cool. So we're going to get a background about the town of Willow Shore. I don't know. Should I spoil stuff? Should I point out, hey, if you don't want to find out about what's going on here, maybe check out now? Well, as I pointed out, you will have some spoilers just simply as we're flipping on through. So the campaign does start off with the player characters are part of the celebration. They had a specific role in the celebration for the Season of Ghosts in their village. And then they wake up outside the village. They return to the village and the village is changed. Dun, 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 dun. But yeah, I thought this was very unique. Now, granted, like most Paizo Inc. tales, it does lean probably a little heavier into combat than I necessarily prefer. But, you know, it is what it is, right? So as you can see, we've got the various different, there you go. The Zungu. Yeah, some of these monsters in that are pretty unusual. Thought that was really nice. But as you can see, each of these chapters is going to be about 90 pages or so, I think. Yep. So this was 87. And then we get into Let the Leaves Fall. So what the player characters find out is they have to go on a quest in order to save their town. There's actually a big reveal that takes place. If I remember correctly, it is in the 3rd chapter that the player characters find something out about themselves that will probably come as a bit of a shock. I got to be honest, I'm not sure how some players will take it. It is pretty wild, though. I will say there was a little too much reliance on a couple of NPCs in the adventure as far as being like the big bads. That there was one in particular that just kind of showed up like with like major encounters, I guess I will say. And it was sort of like, really? This guy again? I was like, I'm not a huge fan of player characters defeating a baddie and then for absolutely no reason whatsoever, the player characters end up having to take them on again later. To me, that's a little weak sauce. But, like I said, I do like this campaign quite a lot. I am probably going to have Sammy review this this remastered edition, because it would be silly for me to read through this and review it again. Danny is asking, how's the font size? It's fine. I'll tell you what. I was going to mention this real quick when I was paging through Dark Archive. I don't like the backing. I don't like the backing on these pages because there's like different darkness to it, and some of the text was kind of getting lost in it. I understand the layout plan is to make it look like it's, you know, parchment or something like that. I don't need that. Just give me straight up white or off-white. Makes it so much easier to read. Hey, we got the little border. The border's cool. I like that. But let's see. Let's find something here. Let's get to like here we go. Beginning of a chapter. Once the PCs emerge from the borderland between life and death, they find themselves stepping off the southern side of Dawnstep Bridge into a town much different than the one they know. This place is the real. Well, okay, well, here you go. Get into spoiler there. But yeah, I can read it fine. I'm having absolutely no issues. But this will certainly provide a lot of gaming. I mean, loads of sessions here. So I would think this campaign, well, depending on how often you get together and how long your sessions are, you could probably be looking at 6 months or more of play out of this campaign. If you're getting together every week and you play for like 4 hours a session, maybe even more than that. All depends. There is a princess here who is pretty cool. She's kind of like a spider princess. Pretty wild. I really like that NPC. Although she's the other NPC who gets used a little too much. But still. All right, so we get into continuing the campaign. And then we have First Long Night. So these are festival celebrations. As autumn's days yield to the burgeoning night, those who dwell in Shenmin's countryside begin preparations for winter. These preparations are organized around rural families' observation of First Long Night, an evening spent together in solemn commemorations of deceased kin, as well as witnessing the community's hopeful aspirations. So this is going to talk about some of the traditional contests. Then this is one of the religions, which also provides some spells. We get our adventure toolbox, which this should collect the adventure toolboxes from each of those chapters and just compile them into one. I don't think they're going to break it up by chapter. Oh, maybe they are. No, I don't. Just taking a quick peek. No, they haven't. They compiled it. All right. Then we got our bestiary and NPCs. The All Griever. So it's pretty creepy looking spider, right? Some mistake these spider-like spirits as scavengers looking to loot abandoned shrines, but they're actually the opposite. Self-appointed guardians of forgotten places of worship, defending the sanctity of discarded faiths and tending sites that have no caretakers. Sometimes an All Griever's duties are tinged with sadness and grief as they mourn the loss of those who once attended their chosen shrine. Pretty cool, right? You saw that, you're like, oh man, it's an evil spider. No, actually, it's not. The Nindoru. When an evil mortal soul that has been reincarnated multiple times is wrenched from the cycle of souls and corrupted, it can undergo a horrific transformation into a fiend known as a Nindoru. A force for entropy and the breaking of cycles, Nindorus are hideous creatures whose bodies often appear distorted, who wield weapons that have been shattered yet still function, and whose true face is often hidden from view. They display traits one might expect to see in an undead creature, such as decaying flesh or broken bones, yet Nindorus are very much still alive. So Rising Star points out that the first edition books also had some pretty busy backing. Yeah, that can be a real issue. Just like, gosh, I remember when Star Trek Adventures came out and they had the black background with the white text. It was like, really? I mean, it may sound like a good idea, but not in reality. Try reading, 350 pages of white text on black background. You're going to, just after a few pages, your eyes are going to start rebelling. We've got the Thatchling. Right, so here we got our major NPCs. There you go. Here's the princess who's like the spider creature. Yes. All right. Very nice. So what do we clock in at? 365 pages. So I'd say that's a good amount of adventuring. Seeing that, we got about 280 for the adventure. Close. 271. So, like I said, a lot of adventuring sessions contained within. Very cool. All right. Rising Star also says they like the spines because they have consistency. All right. So that is a peek at Season of Ghosts. It is available now. There's an MSRP of $74.99. PDF is $39.99. There you go. All right. Kevin King says, unlike Legend of Five Rings, looks like they keep their Chinese and Japanese influences sorted. So Rising Star says they don't like the spines now because they are unique. They're different. All righty. So that was our Paizo preview for February 2026. Once again, big thank you to the fine folks over at Paizo Inc. for providing the review copies. So very nice. Very cool. All right. So what's cooking the rest of this week? Well, tomorrow we're going to take a peek at Mind Over Matter, new psionics for old school games. This is designed for old school essentials, but of course, that essentially means just about any retro clone you can utilize this for. And it is from Third Kingdom Games. So we're going to dive on in. We're going to take a peek at this. There's also something else we're going to talk about tomorrow. We'll do that before we jump into this. But if you follow me on social media, I posted about this because it's something that I've talked about for quite a long time, about how outlets cheat their advertisers and how they doctor their numbers of subscribers and views and things like that. Well, I guess somebody's been called out for it. So we're going to talk about that a little bit tomorrow. But it's like, I've been telling folks for years. I've been explaining this. That's why you see a lot of these Kickstarters have the same, what I like to refer to as the usual suspects. And it's all because people are like, oh, well, look, they've got 150,000 subscribers. Oh, their videos get 50,000 views. And out of those 50,000 views, 30 seconds in, 49,000 of those have left. So, and then at the 5-minute mark before they even get to their advertiser, they've only got 100 views. So we'll talk about that. And as long as nothing new shows up, take a look at Oz from Andrew Kolb on Thursday's show. All right, so we got plenty cooking. I would have gotten some reviews out there this weekend if I didn't have the squirrel down here in the sanctuary. Ay. All right, so that is it for this time out. If you're watching live, thank you very much. If you watch live and took part in chat, you get a tip of the cap. Because not only are you keeping me company, you're also keeping each other company. Normally, while I'm sharing the news and flipping on through, role-playing game books, unboxing a board game, what have you. But then, of course, I know a lot of folks out there, you don't have an opportunity to watch live. Doesn't matter if you're watching live or on Memorex. Thank you very much for taking time out to watch any of the videos here on this channel. It really does mean a lot to me. Believe it or not, it really, really does. All righty. Everybody enjoy the rest of your morning, afternoon, evening, whatever time of day it is in your neck of the woods. If you like the video, be sure to give it a quick thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And if you do subscribe and you want to be notified when I share reviews, when I share first looks, when the dispatch streams, be sure to ring that bell. And when you ring that bell, select all notifications. So that way you will be notified when any new video hits the channel. So there is that. Of course, when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to visit thegaminggang.com for all the latest in tabletop gaming news, reviews, and a whole lot more you will not find on YouTube, such as Sammy's Pathfinder and Starfinder reviews that I've mentioned tonight. Not going to see him here. You got to go to the website. All righty, everybody. Good to see you once again. I was a little worried over the weekend that we wouldn't catch the squirrel and get it out of here. So I was like, do I risk doing a live stream with a wild squirrel? Thankfully got it safely relocated last night. Anyway, thanks for watching. Once again, I'm Jeff McAleer. And as always, I certainly hope each and every one of you gets to enjoy plenty of great gaming with your gang.